He's Tony. I'm Mike. We're here to watch a burn. Episode 32. 3,000 miles to Graceland. I'm trying to do my best Elvis, and it's horrible. He's the Elvis man, not me. Don't believe it? Watch the Blue Christmas video. Oh shit, you can't watch it anymore because it got copyright struck.
As Elvis once said, if you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Anyways, 3,000 miles to Graceland, 2001 crime heist movie. Awful. Directed by Damien Lichtenstein, I'm going to say.
Yeah, sure.
That guy.
Yeah.
Written by Richard Recco, Damien Lichtenstein again, and Kevin Barnhart.
Them guys.
It has a semi-decent cast. I mean, I love Kurt Russell, who plays Mike.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner as Murphy, who I enjoy. Courtney Cox plays Sybil with the C.
Because Sissy Spacek played Sybil with an S, and that's a whole different movie. So.
Oh, good point. Christian Slater as Hanson. David Arquette as Gus. Bokeem Woodbine as Franklin. And then some other small bits with Howie Long, Ice-T, John Lovitz, Kevin Pollak, Thomas Hayden Church. So on paper, it's a good cast.
It's a great cast.
And in execution, not so much. Not a lot of chemistry with that one, but we'll get into that as we go along.
Yeah, I was going to say, Thomas Hayden Church became really recognized again for his phenomenal role in Sideways.
It's kind of a hollow, flabby, overripe.
I don't know. Tastes pretty good to me.
And I love that movie. It's also the movie that made Paul Giamatti a star.
And if they want to drink Merlot, we're drinking Merlot.
No, if anybody orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I am not drinking any fucking Merlot!
So if you want to see him turned up to 11, check that one out. And then Pollak, he was in A Few Good Men opposite Tom Cruise and Demi Moore. He started off as a stand-up comedian.
Spark Bone Scotty.
And wound up doing serious dramatic roles really well.
My favorite with him, though, is The Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
Forward.
Hand me the keys, you fucking cocksucker.
Number 2, step forward.
Give me the fucking keys, you fucking cocksucker motherfucker!
Yes.
Outstanding in that.
Yeah.
Great.
And more fun facts about the cast. Kevin Costner and Kurt Russell both played Wyatt Earp. Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah, that's great. I didn't even think about that. Yes.
Yeah, Kurt Russell famously in Tombstone Kurt Russell in Tombstone and Kevin Costner in Wyatt Earp, which.
You're a Wyatt Earp guy. I'm Tombstone all the way.
I get it. It's Kurt
It's
Russell.
just what it
Yeah,
is.
the Tombstone version is the legend. Wyatt Earp is the historical, factual happenings of what happened with Shootout at the OK Corral. I'm a big fan of the Kevin Costner version of it.
I'm a big fan of Doc Holliday, and Val Kilmer is outstanding in Tombstone.
I think Dennis Quaid did it better in Wyatt Earp. So
we'll let you guys duke it out. But you know what? I guess what we have to do, we'll have to do it then. We're going
to have to do a head-to-head.
Yeah.
So
that'll be coming at some point.
But anyways, back to this phenomenal Elvis heist Quentin Tarantino DNA matchup.
Giving it way too much credit.
Here's the thing. I get why they made this movie. Because at the time, Quentin Tarantino was huge hot property, and everybody was looking for the next Quentin Tarantino, and they really thought that they had stumbled onto something here. This had a little bit different spin on it. The other thing was that Elvis was kind of a little hot again at this point, because Tarantino had talked a lot about him in True Romance, which was his first screenplay, but
which had Christian Slater in it.
And it was directed by Tony Scott, Ridley Scott's brother, who also famously did Top Gun and several other movies, and then very famously killed himself. It had nothing to do with 3,000 Miles to Graceland, though.
So they say.
But now, normally you would talk about the budget, and I know that you would. We had a brief conversation before we started rolling cameras that this was a $60 million film. Turns out it was not a $60 million film. The film company that had produced this was sued for overinflating multiple budgets of films. Basically, they were pocketing the money. And in this particular instance, the budget of the film was $46 million. They managed to swindle $14 million and write it off.
Which is about what the movie grossed, actually, because this was a box office bomb. It didn't even break 20 million. I think it's like 18 is what it brought in. So it was a fail, epic fail. I don't see where is this Quentin Tarantino reference you're getting from? Because nowhere in this movie does it scream to me witty dialogue or creative, themes or elements whatsoever.
Hit Franklin. Yeah. Stop. You're killing me, man. You're killing me.
It's kind of a stretch.
They were shooting for that gritty crime thriller, and you're following the bad guys around, very Reservoir Dog-esque.
Wow, that's a broad stroke.
It is a broad stroke, but again, I'm not going to say that they, unlike a lot of filmmakers that were directly trying to imitate Quentin Tarantino's style and his kind of dialogue and the kind of plot points that happen through it. This was more hey, that genre is hot right now, and Quentin Tarantino is the guy that did it, so we can do something along those lines. And that's kind of really how this is. I see the DNA all over it. I'm not saying it was a direct ripoff, but I am saying that Tarantino made this genre hot. And the way of telling this story, of following the bad guys, because normally you would follow the good guys in a heist film like this. And you also, it's not just about the heist itself, it's also about all the interpersonal drama between them. And you also have that bit of dialogue. And this I think is actually the one part of the film that I hate the most. And I love the movie. But there's the whole thing where they're having the conversation in the car while they're driving to Vegas, and they're talking about celebrity deathmatch, but they're doing it with Elvis Presley and Frank Sinatra, and through this whole fictionalized fight to the death that they're talking and joking about. Kevin Costner's character gets completely bent out of shape over the idea that anybody could beat Elvis's ass, and literally threatens them with killing them if they talk shit about Elvis again.
He goes down and old Blue Eyes goes in for an Italian necktie. Whoa! The king is down! The king is down! No! What's going on, man? Let me know when you're gonna do that, will ya?
Who said the king's down?
So that's the one scene that always seemed really heavy-handed and kind of way over the top for me. But the rest of the film, I really enjoy. And I'm not going to apologize for it.
You should.
So, but do you have any of the? Did you have any other production notes or insults or whatnot?
I got plenty of insults coming along,
okay.
but wait. Here, I'll give you my synopsis of the plot.
Go for it. Yes.
Is 5 guys rob a casino during an Elvis convention and shenanigans ensue. That's the plot.
Well, you forgot. Kurt Russell meets a hot single mom at a shitty hotel and falls in love.
I will say this. It is Courtney Cox right at her peak of hotness.
Not only is she at her peak of hotness, I actually think this is the first movie that I've seen her in where she had to act. She wasn't playing friends. It's like Jennifer Aniston has made a career off of being that same fucking character, but in different situations.
I would say acting is generous, but moving on.
Anyway, she does look incredible in the movie.
It was at the time when you could have the thong hanging out from under your pants, and that was considered hot.
The whale tail.
The whale tail, yeah, thank you.
Yes, bring back the whale tail.
No.
Yeah, all right, sorry. It sounded like a good idea, then I thought about it. Yeah. All right, well, seeing as we have such strong opposite opinions on this film, tell me, did you like anything about the film?
I did like the heist portion of the film.
Mm-hmm.
The premise of the movie is a solid premise.
Yeah.
The problem is the execution was awful. I would like to see actual preparation for the heist. I would like to see some more interactions with the actual heist crew, because they don't make it very long.
No.
Yeah, I mean, what, about 20 minutes of the film, maybe 25?
Right about that. Yeah.
Everybody's dead except, sorry, spoilers, everybody's dead except for Mike and Murphy.
Yeah.
And then...
Which that was Murphy's whole plan, was to do the heist, put this crew together,
and then kill everybody.
And then run off with the money.
Yeah.
So and one last thing, just so you know, understand this.
Well, remember when the king died in 77?
Jesus, was it 77?
Well, he had a clause in his will, which stated that Lisa Marie, along with any illegitimate child he may have fathered, be entitled to his entire estate. So, naturally, I came forward.
Naturally.
And that's when I first met him.
Mike and Murphy both believe that they are illegitimate children of Elvis Presley. So they're not just obsessed with the king. They're trying to bond with who they think is their father that they never knew throughout the whole film. And that's a big motivation for both of the characters in this. And the fact that Elvis, in his will, actually wrote to his daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, and any other children, they received a portion of his fortune. As far as I know, that's legit. Like, that is how he worded it in his will, because he didn't know if he was going to have kids popping up. He was Elvis, and it's not like he was renowned for keeping it in his pants. Yeah. So,
but anyways, getting back to... Well, shit, now I got derailed.
Getting back to parts of the movie you did like.
Okay, yeah. So I would like to see more development with the crew prior to that.
Yeah.
Would have been nice. Because, again, after he kills pretty much everybody in the crew except for Mike, there's like an hour and a half of him and Mike and a cat and mouse. And it goes on for way, way too long. We don't need another hour and a half of that. 1 hour would have been just fine. Another 45 minutes would have been even better.
Well,
so hang on.
Go ahead.
Because I don't get a chance to rant too often.
Okay, rant.
So,
get your rant on, bro.
I'm actually being quite polite about this. I really hate this movie. I do not enjoy this movie at all. It was a shock to get through taking a page out of your book there. So, constructive criticisms, more development, and probably a change in cast. I don't think this cast works well together. I think they're very mismatched. Or maybe if they would have tried to develop those characters more, which is the other problem too. Everybody's in it for such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
They're very one-dimensional. There is no character development. Even with the main characters themselves, there's no real arc or any real development. They're just, like you said, they're people that are devout Elvis fans and think they may be Elvis.
Illegitimate children.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Courtney Cox, like, her character has no character. She's a shitty mom.
She's not a shitty mom.
She's a shitty mom. I'm going to leave my son with a total stranger who I just met not too long ago. I mean, I'm sorry. They had 2 intimate encounters.
He bought her chocolate.
huh?
He bought her chocolate.
He bought her Snickers.
That's chocolate.
you're too high class to be paid. But here's a Snickers, baby. I love you. But I mean... I could go on and on about how much I hate this movie. I did not like it. Go ahead.
See, and I know that I'm in the minority on this one because I know the critics savaged this film when it came out, and for me, this is like one of those movies that falls into that same category as like the 13th Warrior or Warcraft, where like I'm watching the same movie that they are, and I'm like going, you know what? Is it totally revolutionary? No. Is it interesting enough to keep my attention? Yes, absolutely. Was I entertained? Yes. And because of that, yeah, for me, this is a recommend. I enjoy the hell out of it. I think you're absolutely right. The film does peak early. The heist is the best part of the movie. There is no two ways about it. And the heist is magnificently done. And I love the fact that they intercut it with a performance of one of the Elvis impersonators actually doing an entire Vegas showgirl thing on stage. The other thing that I like about it is that somebody recognizes one of them when they're getting ready to pull the heist because they did prison time together.
Yeah, one recognizes Murphy.
And he basically walks up and tells him, punches him in the face and tells him to get the hell out of here because he's trying to avoid being, Identified, essentially what it all boils down to. But here's the genius of the heist, is that it's an Elvis convention at a casino. Everybody is dressed like Elvis.
yeah.
So if you're going to ask anybody, well, what did the suspect look like? The natural reaction is going to be, well, they look like Elvis because they do look like Elvis.
Except for Franklin, the token black guy,
But he
who
was-
dies first.
But he was not. But he was not the only black guy dressed as Elvis at the convention. So again, it's.
Well, hang on.
Oh.
Do you think they realized that Franklin is a token black guy and that it was also the token black kid in the Peanuts? And was that a coincidence?
No, I don't think that was a. I don't think that was a
You don't think
coincidence.
that's
No, I think that
coincidence
was
at all?
very on purpose.
Okay.
I really do. It was
All right.
completely on the nose.
'Cause-
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
because I think even Franklin the Peanuts is dressed in yellow. I think Bokeem was actually dressed. Franklin was dressed in yellow and yellow Elvis outfit. In this
I
one
think
too.
well you have Mike in white, you have Murphy in black, which that's indicative of their
Yeah, you have
characters,
good guy, bad
the
guy,
good guy
yeah,
and the bad guy,
yeah.
and then you have one in blue. And
I think that one was a purple. Was it purple?
I thought one was blue, one was green, one was yellow, but I'm not.
I can't remember.
I'm not positive on that one, but again, the other thing about the heist is that everybody has their own specialty, and while you're saying that you didn't like the fact that they didn't like do the whole Ocean's 11, hey, let's go through everything that's going to happen here. Everybody knew their job. Everybody was very good at their job, and everybody just went and did their job at the exact right time.
Pretty loose group you got there.
Check me out, Franklin. I'm a dancer.
Dance.
Don't you dance, fucker. Don't you miss.
They dialed in. They're good on stage.
So I appreciate the fact that Murphy, because he plans on killing everybody, doesn't want a bunch of guys that have worked together. He wants them to not trust each other. So to me, that's a smart detail as opposed to an oversight on their fact. I think that they wanted to imply that, yeah, Murphy knows everybody, but none of them know each other. So there's no trust, there's no foundation, there's no relationship, and they all only know the part of the plan.
Which is counterproductive to executing a good heist. You want to be able to trust people and make sure they do their job.
Partly.
So I think that's actually a negative.
So, well, see, here's the other thing about it, too. If you only know your job in a heist, you can't finger anybody else. And I'll tell you what I mean by that.
Well,
If-
you
if
can
one-
identify
wait,
them.
wait.
I mean, that's kind of stupid. I mean, that doesn't matter. If you can identify them, even if you don't know their name or not, you can point them out in the thing and say, yeah, this is that dude. So, no, that's bullshit.
Well, yeah, but
So
wait,
I'm
if
sorry.
If you're a convict, if you
They
can-
did not really think this through. They thought this is what this is: a action movie with, turn off your brain, let's roll through it. But it doesn't even
yeah.
function on that level. I mean,
See, I think-
for you it does. For
yeah,
me it didn't.
Yeah. So, but the other thing is,
And for most critics it didn't either. And most audiences, that's why it flopped. But
yeah,
sorry.
wait, you're always the one that says "fuck the critics." That's you all the time. So now I get to say it one time. No, 32 episodes.
Go ahead.
32 episodes.
Say it.
Fuck the critics. That was wrong. Well, here's the other thing too, and this is an interesting thing as far as the casting goes.
Mm-hmm.
It had been a bit since Kurt Russell had a hit.
And Kevin Costner
Yeah,
too.
prior to this,
Was
Kurt
it
Russell
Waterworld?
he was in Soldier.
I don't even remember that movie.
And Soldier was kind of supposed to be set in the Blade Runner universe, and he was
Really?
Yes, he was supposed to be.
That's supposed to be Blade Runner?
It's supposed to be set in the Blade Runner universe. As a matter of fact, there's a direct quote in the film where they talk about him fighting at the house of 10 House and Gate, which is a
reference
direct
to-
quote to something Roy Batty said before he dies in Blade Runner.
Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10 House of Gate.
Oh wow, I never would have
I've
picked
seen
up on that
sea
detail.
beams glisten in the moonlight at 10 House and Gate.
Huh.
But yeah, so they do bring that up, and supposedly Kurt Russell was a replicant that had fought there. But
I
yeah,
remember that movie now. That was not a good performance for Kurt Russell at all.
He didn't speak in the whole damn movie.
I know,
It
which
was
is
very weird.
Which is a poor directing choice.
I
You
get.
got Kurt Russell.
Yeah, I get why he would take the role. I don't get why they reduced him to. I mean, like legitimately telling Kurt Russell is a charming man, and in the right role, he can. Even if he's a scumbag, he can still be charming.
Yeah.
Thank you, Meryl.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And when you like remove all dialogue from him and tell him to stare blankly at people, and that's your idea of directing Kurt Russell, you done fucked up. you done messed up, Aaron. Yeah. But also Kevin Costner had been in a string of duds. He got his Academy Award with Dances with Wolves, but the failures that he had racked up, he had done Waterworld. Wyatt Earp, which was well received, but it was overshadowed by the success of Tombstone and seen as a minor film. He also did Perfect World, which was Kevin Costner and the kid that was a runaway from a Jehovah's Witness family. And
Oh yeah, I remember
yes.
that. Yeah, that's a solid. Those are all solid
Yeah.
movies. They just didn't do well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then The War was another one, and he was a veteran that had come back and he was trying to buy a fixed up house, and he was suffering from PTSD, but it was before anybody knew what the hell PTSD was, and he was kind of seen as an outcast in town. They're all phenomenal performances. They just failed to deliver because everybody wanted Bull Durham and
Yeah, he kind of made his name doing kind of like rom-com kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And then Kurt Russell made his name just by doing like just comedies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
prior to Tombstone.
Yeah, I think they wanted him to go
Yeah.
back to do like Dances with Wolves
Yeah.
and Bull Durham and stuff like that. And again, Kevin Costner, charming man. In the right role, he's absolute perfection. But in the wrong role, he sticks out like a sore thumb.
And I think this kind of works against him. And then, while he does, I mean, his acting is fine in this movie. It's not the way I want to see Kevin Costner. I'd rather see him as the good guy.
That right there, that's
You know?
exactly what I was getting at.
So-
Is because this is Kevin Costner playing a straight up psychopath villain.
And he does do well. I will give it that. It is a solid performance. But yeah, it's not what your audience wants.
Yeah, and
So-
Kurt Russell, on the other hand, gets to play the type in this
Yeah.
one. He gets to be the scoundrel that's kind of likable and admirable. And Courtney Cox, she does okay with the material, but she doesn't have a lot to do other than to be hot enough to get Mike's attention.
Yeah.
And she's done that in both cases. But the real failing of this film for me, and this is the one thing that I will completely back you up on 100%, the relationship with the kid. It's too much screen time is spent on
Yes,
that one. And there
a
are
lot.
some funny moments in there, and the kid does turn out to actually... His mom is a con artist, and that's what she does. She knows she's good looking, she knows she's a single mom, and she cons people.
He's like a ferret. Takes anything he can get his hands on. And hides it all up here. Sorry about this.
There was
Money?
$460. Yeah.
And she's small time. She's strictly the show up, do things with some dude and then take his wallet kind of con artist on this one. The kid is also in on it, and that's kind of how this whole thing kicks off, is where he tries to steal Mike's wallet. And Mike catches onto it really quickly. But they kind of have this weird teetering back and forth side of relationship where there's some huge trust issues. But the kid... He's not a bad actor. He does fine with it, and there are some charming, funny parts, especially when, Mike, he decides that he's going to smoke, and Mike's like, hey, filters are for old ladies and old men like me. Let me fix that for you.
Here, for the young guys in the joint smoke. Try that. Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, real good.
Yeah.
That stuff all worked for me. The other thing that worked was that when he was showing Mike, when he got Mike out of jail and gave Mike the idea on how to get his car back, which is a pink 57 Chevy, 58? No, Cadillac.
Yes,
It's a
pink Cadillac.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And Murphy got out first and stole it. So all that works for me. The other parts that don't work, we already talked about the initial one. The second one that doesn't work is Murphy. The whole Murphy road trip thing. he goes to the gas station and he meets the girl and they blow up the gas station. It all seems so over the top and so like done for no excuse. It almost has the feel of Con Air. Yeah,
oh, dude, because I was gonna make a comparison later to Con Air about this movie. Holy shit! All right. So we're not far off the mark actually with each other.
No. We watched the same movie, but then he trades her to the biker gang.
Yeah,
and
how scummy is that?
Yeah,
yeah, babe. Get your bubble gum.
Yeah, grab your bubble gum. And then he kills the old man and takes the van, and the guy's like the rabid sports fan. And he does that so that he can avoid the getting pulled out by the cops during the traffic stops because they know where he's going. Counterpoint, the whole cops story arc with Kevin Pollak and I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Thomas Hayden Church.
Yes, Thomas Hayden Church. That whole story arc works great.
I can't tell you how embarrassed this whole department is over this incident, but you know as well as I do, we don't make the laws, we just enforce them.
Jesus. Where'd you learn that? The Barney Fife seminar on law enforcement?
What was the weapon?
It was twin 45s.
All right, well, we're gonna need those. The trooper was shot and killed with a 45.
What else was in the car?
I loved every scene with those two and how they're unraveling everything
it's a few scenes or the few characters that actually have some chemistry together, other than Mike and Murphy.
Yeah.
And some of the scenes with John Lovett worked for me too.
Yeah.
But again, it all drags on for too goddamn long. It doesn't need to be a 2 hour. Cut some of this junk out. There's a lot of fat. A lot of fat in this film.
There is some fat, most definitely. Now the final shootout is way over the top, but the last scene of the film where Murphy dies in the bathroom, I love everything about that. Because everybody, if you don't know, Elvis died on the toilet.
Really wanted to get this one alive.
And so I love the fact that they're doing that, but then they're also have the background where they're doing, I did it my way. Yeah. The music swells in the background, which was famously performed by both Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley. So that kind of all goes back to the beginning of it. As an Elvis fan, I appreciate every Elvis reference in this film. I got a lot more of them than probably most people would have.
And I can see how that, if you're a big Elvis fan, that would play out. Because I'm sure there's probably plenty of Elvis references that flew over my head.
Yeah.
So.
Ice-T. And Howie Long.
Was he really your old man?
Why?
Why? Did Ice-T even have a speaking line?
I think he had like 2.
And as far as I know, the only purpose that he served was to hang upside down by a seat while twirling around and shooting a machine gun to stop the bad people that were coming to get Murphy. And it worked, and that's the really weird part.
Worked for you.
No. I'm not saying that it worked as a plot point. I mean, he did manage to hold off the cops. Yeah. Howie Long was a helicopter pilot, and he works better than Ice-T, but not well.
Yeah.
And I will say that at the end of it, we finally do get to find out that the whole 3,000 miles to Graceland, they were not going to Mississippi.
They're going to Alaska.
They were going to Canada. Like they were going to British Columbia, I do believe. Yeah. I mean, that's where the boat, Graceland, was. And it was left to Mike by his father, Elvis Presley. So while he might have been illegitimate, he was actually Elvis's son. Murphy, I don't think we ever actually know. I mean, they heavily, allude to it in the film that he most definitely was. But apparently, he's apparently the evil Elvis son.
I guess. So, yeah, they kind of left that one kind of ambiguous.
So, anyway, I am the first one to admit this film is flawed. I have no issue with saying that. That being said, for me, I enjoy it. I'm entertained by it. I think it has a lot of creative, funny, interesting moments. It's shot well. Is it a little long? Yeah. I'll admit that. but the parts that work really, really work. I'm waiting for your rebuttal. I can't wait.
I mean, well, I've hammered out a lot of my gripes with it. I mean, there are things in the movie that do work. If they spend some time rewriting the script, put a little more effort into it. Because I think that's the other thing too is it seems very lazy and very thrown together. Not lazy in like in a detail like Elvis type aspect, but lazy in like let's just throw something out there for popcorn fodder and stuff like that. So there's that of it.
See, I won't say that. I will say this. I get the very specific, impression that there are the scenes that they knew exactly what they wanted, and they wrote the hell out of those scenes. And then there was the connective tissue that they knew that they had to connect point A to point B, and so they just wrote something.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's kind of the impression that I got from it. Like the whole scene with the gas station and the girl with the bubble gum, all that. You could lop that whole thing out. You could literally just do a shot of Murphy driving the pink Cadillac down the highway in the desert and lop all that shit out, and you would not lose anything other than
Yeah, the script need to go on a damn diet. Is really what happens. It needs to go on a diet, chop out the fat, get rid of the BS.
Yeah.
I could see for you, okay, it's a guilty pleasure. Obviously.
No, I'm not even going to say it's a guilty pleasure. I'm going to say that there's enough good in this for me to enjoy it. You know those crappy Marvel films like Doctor Strange? That the Marvel fans are all like, I love me some Doctor Strange. No, you don't. But you let it slide because you're a fan of the material.
But that's the very definition of a guilty pleasure, though. It's something that you really shouldn't enjoy, that most people don't enjoy, but yet you enjoy.
No,
that's a guilty pleasure.
For me, a guilty pleasure is if I was watching it and enjoying it, but someone else came in the room, I would turn it off, and they'd be like, "What were you watching?" I'd be like, "I don't know, some movie. I just found it and just turned it on for noise." That's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, but then you're kind of keeping it in the closet. I'd see for me,
shame is an important component of guilty and guilty pleasure.
I don't know. I guess maybe I'm at the age where I'm comfortable sharing my guilty pleasures.
I'm completely. My shit is like I'll happily throw it out there. I will watch complete utter trash and be entertained. But I know that like there are movies that like I have two boys, and I know that there are movies that I've walked in and they immediately hit pause and wait for the menu to come up so that they're not like, why are you watching the My Little Pony movie? What is that? What are you a brony, son? To which he responds, I learned it by watching you. And then we just move on. We don't discuss it anymore. But
I don't know if this is exactly facts, but an accurate representation.
But that being said, so what would you change? You said trim the fat?
Yeah.
Give me some specific scenes. Give me some scenes that you think were unnecessary, things that you would change. Because as much as Courtney Cox is lovely in this film, I would either have gotten a stronger actress for that role. I think, I would have tried to get a bigger performance out of her, because I do think that she's a little overwhelmed. But at the same time, Courtney Cox is famous for being on Friends. Yeah. She's sharing screen with Kurt Russell and
stunt
Kevin
casting.
Costner at the same time.
That's the problem. It's a lot of stunt casting in it. She was hot at the time.
Yeah.
Christian Slater was still a semi-decent property.
Ish, yeah.
Because that was just not too long after.
Yeah.
So, and then David Arquette was an up-and-comer.
Yeah.
And then the other two.
Bokeem, yeah.
Yeah. But, so I can see why they cast them, but they just don't work for me. And really, I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to the screenplay and the script. That's really the heart of the matter.
Yeah.
Need to be addressed. So I mean, it's down to the very DNA of the film. But I don't want to beat a dead horse.
He wants to kick it now.
I do want to kick it. I kind of want to kick it on down the line. So of the genre of film, what would you recommend?
Oh, there's a lot of films that kind of fall into this. Dinner Rush, which I don't even know if you can find it. The only copy I have of it is on DVD. If you're looking for crime thrillers, Dinner Rush, I think, is a really smart, interesting one that was, Danny Aiello is the big star in that one. 2 Days in the Valley, I think, is another
How about
one.
something a little more lighthearted, kind of a little more in the same vein? Because this is kind of a lighthearted action thing, so something more like that.
Shit, lighthearted crime thrillers?
Well, I wouldn't call it a crime thriller. I mean, it's a crime action heist.
The obvious ones are, go back and watch the original Ocean's 11 with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. and all that, and then watch the George Clooney, Brad Pitt Ocean's 11, skip Ocean's 12, skip Ocean's 13.
I didn't mind Ocean's 12.
It's
not a great film, but I mean, well, I have an extreme soft spot for Catherine Zeta-Jones, so I mean,
I understand that. I was gonna say there's I'm not gonna tell you Chapman is good, but Catherine Zeta-Jones looks amazing in it.
Yeah, she does. They're playing both sides.
Oh, you're playing both sides. Sean Connery. I see you, Catherine Zeta-Jones, in Lycra.
And it's nice.
There can be only one. So, it's a weird genre.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I mean, there's a shit ton of heist films that are floating around out there, but to agree with Rick,
that wasn't even a heist. All you did was
write an algorithm based on 2 heist movies I slept through and use it to automate a joyless process you call art? Yeah, I really did, didn't I?
Most heist films are garbage for the most part. They're not as clever as they like to think they are.
This is true.
That's the suffering
very
of it.
true.
But there are some gems out there. The Thomas Crown Affair is most definitely a gem.
The remake or the original?
Both.
I tried watching the original. I couldn't get into it. Although I do like the remake.
Yeah, the remake I think is charming.
It is.
And we've recommended it before. And I think it definitely falls into that lighthearted kind of heist film. And weirdly, it's kind of a feel-good heist film.
Yeah, it is kind of. Yeah,
I'm stealing from people, but I'm a nice guy. So, you're okay with it. So, yeah, what about you? What do you got?
Well, you kind of nailed it for me with the Ocean's film. I like them. They're not the greatest films in the world, but they're entertaining.
Well,
for me,
I was going to say that third one where Julia Roberts is playing a character that's supposed to be Julia Roberts, supposed to be imitating Julia Roberts. I was like, well, that's some lame shit right there. You want to talk about a screenplay that needed a, sit down in the writer's room, hash that one out, because that's some dumb shit right there.
I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it.
But you're gonna talk shit about 3,000 Miles to Graceland.
Yeah.
See, it's what you like and what's forgivable are completely on the same sliding scale. It's just if something appeals to you in more than one way, you can let go some things, and that's 3,000 Miles to Graceland for me. It's enough stuff that I like.
The difference is I'm much more polite about it. I don't scream at the top of my lungs how much I hate something. Just saying. I like to show a little restraint.
Sorry.
Hey, no, you do you, man. Don't go changing. So
I feel pretty.
Anyway, I mean,
this is a huge recommend for me. If you're an Elvis fan, and sincerely an Elvis fan, and you haven't seen this, you're doing a disservice. If you like crime, heist, drama, give this a go. Like I said, there's good stuff here. Is it all good stuff? No, and I'll admit that. But for me, I'm entertained by it.
So, knowing our track record with Elvis-related material on this channel...
No one's going to watch this video.
Probably not.
We'll survive. Yeah.
We'll carry on. But it's absolutely not a recommend for me, obviously. If you're going to watch an Elvis film, I would say watch... oh, God damn it.
True Romance. No.
Viva Las Vegas.
Or True Romance.
Yeah. And then beyond that, no, don't watch this movie. Don't waste your time. Fuck you, because I had to pay $4 for this thing, and with inflation now the way it is, that's like $5. Yes. So yeah, fuck you. It's bad enough I had to watch it, but I had to pay to watch. That's some bullshit. So.
So, Mike, what are we watching next?
So, we are going back in time to stoner, like the original stoner comedy, as far as I know.
Reefer Madness?
Okay, second original stoner comedy. Well, I don't know if Reefer Madness is stoner
Intentional comedy.
Intentional Reefer, stoner comedy. Up Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke.
Well, okay then. The one with Pee Wee Herman, right?
No, he doesn't pop up until actually appropriately titled Cheech and Chong's the next movie.
Next movie. All right.
Yeah,
So yeah, if you ever doubt how like all over the board we are, Up in Smoke it is.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys next time.
Oh yeah, you can't rent here anymore.
Yeah.
All right.